Most people think you need a big fancy greenhouse to grow food at a market scale. But behind me is just a 25 by 16 foot portable greenhouse that I grow 10,000 seedlings in every spring. Let me show you how. Most growers heat their entire greenhouse with propane. I heat only where plants are actually rooting. 2 heated tables, 100 feet of heated cable each, 1 controller, and about $2 a day all spring. Before this, I had the exact same setup under a plastic sheet in a shelter logic. It was as ghetto as it gets, but it worked just as well. The point was never the structure. It's heating the rooting zone on these tables. While I'm waiting for spring outside, I'm already producing a crop in here. Seedlings on one side, produce on the other. One structure, but 2 jobs. We've got some Napa cabbages coming in. Early cucumbers in the ground. It's time for this cilantro and dill to get ripped out. So now that I've cleared out the bolted cilantro, we're gonna plant some heirloom tomatoes. This dill is gonna stay in because it looks like I'm gonna get a second cut. I love salsa. These heated greenhouse tables work so well because in each one there's about 250 pounds of wet sand and 100 feet of heated cable. And that builds a huge amount of thermal mass as that heats up. Overnight, we have this buffering of this large thermal mass. That's also why you see each of these barrels beside the table. These are full of water, and that adds another element of thermal mass. If I painted them black so that they absorb heat from the sun, this strategy could become even stronger. For most things on the farm, I use soil blockers. In the next video, I'll show you how I make soil blocks for my market garden, and I'll try to answer the question, are soil blocks worth it? So hit the subscribe button to not miss that next video. I've planted these heirloom tomatoes about 15 inches apart. I'm using the varieties Carbon, Striped German, and Brandywine to give us that classic array of black, yellow stripe, and big pink heirloom. These aren't necessarily a huge market crop for me, but they're delicious, and I absolutely love tomato sandwiches in the summer. I never want these beds to be empty. Earlier this spring, I already got a crop of arugula and mustard greens. I finished harvesting and selling this cilantro, and looks like this dill's coming back for another round. Leaving empty space is a waste in your garden, so try to make sure you replant ground as soon as possible, because living roots feed the soil, and the microbes that live inside of it are most active in the rhizosphere. So if the soil is empty and there's no roots, then there's less microbes and less biological activity. During the winter, I create a crop plan in which it tells me what I need to seed every single week so that I can keep things planted and get a continuous supply for the markets and my wholesale accounts. And so every week I go and I look at that crop plan and it tells me what I seed. I create soil blocks, or for certain crops like cucurbits or potted up stuff, I'll use 3-inch pots. And basically I'm just making waves of seedlings, and on these tables I can fit a total of 36 10-20 flats. So I work within that parameter, and this is my sort of warm season waves. Right now we're at the end of May and the last frost date just passed. So I'm waiting for the soil to truly warm up, and then everything you see here will be planted out in the field. Before these crops, I had brassicas, lettuce, early herbs, things like broccoli, cabbage, green onions, storage onions. These are the kind of things that were in here a month ago. And after those go out in the field, I time the next seedings in my crop plan for the warm season crops. And at this time of year, growing lettuce or brassica seedlings in the greenhouse would actually be ineffective because it's already super warm in here, and pretty soon I'm gonna have to put a shade cloth up. By the time the cooler season crops are ready to go in the field, they head out to my hardening off station, and these tables never stay empty. As soon as those cool season crops go out, this next wave of warm season crops takes the space on the table and enjoys the heated rooting zone and the protection of the greenhouse until June when everything's planted out. Then as the summer really heats up, I will not even really use this greenhouse for seedlings anymore, and I'll switch over to growing stuff like basil, which I'll put in pots on these tables. Even with the heated bottom off, it stays super warm in the summer, and I can still grab an extra herb crop off the square footage that I get here. And then with a fall basil crop like that, even when the fall frost comes, I can turn the heated tables back on and then push a little warm season crop further into the season. So that's how I use these tables to grow 1,000 seedlings every year and keep the beds of my market garden full and lush. And just in case the power goes out, I also have this backup diesel heater. And so if the grid goes down and my seedlings would otherwise die with the temperature outside, I just fire this bad boy up and it keeps a nice buffer of heat under the tables. And that is here to save me if the power goes out or on a really cold night where the heated tables need an extra boost, maybe at like the end of March. I farm on leased land, so building permanent structures isn't realistic for me. That's why I designed this system that I can take with me. When I move, it moves, and every time I set it up, it works. You don't need expensive heating systems or big fancy greenhouses to grow on a market scale. You need something creative, you need something that works. This is that.